Good evening. This is Cameron and Vanessa Knight.
Hi there.
Thank you so much for reaching out to us for this tarot reading. We were really excited to get your message. Thank you so much for sharing that you are just so full of love. You can't wait to share it.
We thought that was very cute.
That was awesome. We really appreciate anybody who dares to enter the realm of love,
Yes.
just as we have. And we are very passionate about it. And so we love hearing that others are just as passionate to the point that they're bubbling up and just can't wait to get it out into the world. And so I really respect you for reaching out and for guidance in this area prior to overstepping that threshold. Because it can be really difficult, and I am more of an impulsive person, I admit.
Me too.
Could not wait to fall in love, and I have a lot of respect for those who are able to just reserve and like account for things and do the best that they can prior to entering into a relationship, to work on themselves first and to be introspective enough to find that humility and ground themselves before moving into a relationship.
And we really admired your awareness in acknowledging that even though you have that, that inner, that teeming love within you, that you also acknowledge that love also has its own rhythm, and that sometimes it calls upon us to wait for a time.
And I mean, there is potentiality that some of us get really lucky, just as I did with my husband. It was definitely in the stars, but we had done a lot of work prior to that, to meeting. So with that said, how we're going to go about this reading is we'll draw 3 cards, and we're just going to let them flow and just kind of tell us a story of what it is that you can expect with this intention set.
Wonderful.
Moving forward.
We have, the 3 of Cups, that celebratory card.
Oh, that's a great card.
The 3 of Cups represents in many ways what you see and what you might assume. It is a card of celebration, and it is a card of virtuous celebration. You can imagine these ladies drinking the wine from the grapes that they sowed and they reaped and they harvested, and they are now in full-fledged enjoyment of that work. So this is not something that just came to them out of nowhere or something that's undeserved, but rather a celebration that is in harmony with nature because of their good works and their proper alignment.
And this could also be indicative of maybe a place you are meant to meet this love of your life. It could be at some type of gathering, party,
a bar. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
I don't necessarily recommend you go looking for love in a bar, but you never know where you're going to fall in love. So, with that said, this is going to be a celebratory time. It sounds like your heart's in the right place, your head's in the right place. You are aligned, mind, body, and spirit. And so this, I think, represents, a pat on the back for you.
Yes.
This is a time for you to really accept that you've done the work. You are ready to take on this next phase in life, which is partnering with someone who gets to benefit from that overflowing love that you have. And when we lead with love, we always draw in all the good things, right?
Yes.
Karmically, it's the best thing that we can offer the world. And to do that in a very, help me out here with the words.
Well, in alignment, what I would say is I love the number 3. One of the things Vanessa and I acknowledge in our own relationship is it's not just her and I. We constantly acknowledge that we feel that third element with us, and that we could not do what we do, and we could not have the relationship that we have without that third element. And this is what I love about this card. It's so celebratory because it speaks of you, and I certainly gathered that even from just the short telling you gave in your email of just that you have done the work and you're ready to receive. If you can kind of notice in the background too, there's sort of you could call her a fertility or love goddess, so to speak, that is blessing this celebration before them. So what this says to me is, as you go forward, and because you're aligned, and provided you stay in that spirit of humility and understanding and that teeming feeling of love, that when you meet this person, you are going to, and you should feel that third element with you as you go about. You might not notice it right away, but as you go about together, you're going to notice as the days, weeks, and months go on that, you know what, things just work when we're together. And that working element speaks of that. I hope that covered a little bit.
Yeah, no, that was awesome. And I'm really glad that you said that when you were speaking of that figure in the middle. Because I see, is that a sun behind her head too?
Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah, when you said having love and leading with love opens that door. I believe those are my words. But anyways, when you open that door, you become a channel. And so as a channel of receptivity from that spirit of love, that's going to flow through you and create this magnetism for the people who are ready to see that type of abundant love that's available to them. So with that said, be celebratory, continue in that spirit, the spirit of gratitude, to have that receptivity and that openness, but also pray for additional discernment so that when you enter into this realm that you are leading with that spirit and not just your own volition.
Vanessa's boss said something really great that I think about from time to time. How did she say it specifically? It was regarding the easy button.
Yes, I do remember.
Can you say that?
I was working at Crumble, actually, to give you a little backstory. And my boss had just gotten married about a year prior. And she saw Cameron and I together. And she said, you know, you guys are just so good together. It just looks like he's your easy button. And I think that's how it came about.
Yeah,
anyways, I was like, oh my gosh, yes, he totally is my easy button. And so that's something that, although life isn't easy, relationships are not easy, marriage is hard work, you know, and we're learning as we go, like, why it's hard work, you know, because we're not always going to be in alignment with one another. However, that ease will continue.
Yeah, and abide in there.
Exactly. Yeah, and it becomes a reference point to where we began versus where we are now. But it's always there.
Yeah, and I only say that because you seem more sophisticated in love than the average person. And so to tell somebody, oh, love should feel easy, I think would be a real disservice to most people that would expect that ease all the time. But to you, I would say to never conflate the difficulty of life with a relationship. You know, when you're with your person, it should feel like whatever you're going through, you wouldn't want to be with anybody else, and they do make life easier. I wasn't going to necessarily touch upon it because it's very dynamic symbolically. Sometimes symbolism is strange, but it helps us remember things. This little goddess statue in the background, she's adorned around her abdomen with a multitude of breasts. She has a bunch of breasts. And to me, that speaks of abundance. Life should just seem like it always has a way out for you, you know, when you're with your other person. And even though you're going through things, there's always abundance there that sustains you. And so, congratulations. That's a beautiful card.
Yeah, that's amazing. And when it comes to entering into a relationship, you know, love doesn't feel the cold, right? So there's going to be a lot of things that, because love is so magical, we tend to oversee or forgive, you know, in the moment as we're no longer within our bodies because we're in this ethereal realm of love with this newfound person that we're just so elated over and excited about. And then you get into the day-to-day. So going into a relationship and the preparation for a relationship, keep in mind that eventually there will come a point where if you do pursue something long-term, that there will be that day-to-day monotony that you will want to tackle with grace. You know, so going in, make sure that your perspective is correct and maybe even support that with some statistical evidence. I don't know if that's necessarily a horrible thing. I know my husband and I have researched quite a bit on relationships, and also because we have a love for psychology and how we all operate. And it's helped us tremendously. And so if it's something that may not be a passion of yours, but you're interested in the realm of relationships, just get to know about them, and what other people have learned to expect from relationships, dynamics, things like that, and how you can present yourself that's within alignment with your truest self and not your masked self, and going into a long-term endeavor such as a relationship or marriage.
Yes.
Okay, with that said, sorry, I'm going to stop talking.
No, you're great. You're great. Okay, this is the 9 of Cups.
Oh, the 9 of Cups.
I love this card because this is a card of abundance. And even though this person seems, well-heeled in a sense, I mean, they have a bunch of golden goblets all around them, right? And they're kind of drunk on the wine of life. To me, this card is representative of being content and happy and truly grateful for where you are now. Life, it's not necessarily a paradox, but there's like a kind of a twist to it that can be frustrating, which is when you want something, you put yourself in kind of that spirit of wanting and a little bit of dissatisfaction. And when you're like that, your countenance shows more of that than you want to admit. My wife and I admit that we really show our emotions and there's no faking it in us. And so the difficulty of that is when you're going through a hard time and you really want to ingratiate yourself to love or all of the positive things in life, they might be kind of backing off from you a bit because you're kind of, you're not all there. You don't feel like your full self. Paradoxically, if you had that feeling, that sense of union, you would feel that energy, and then even more of that would come into your life, which is funny because you wouldn't need more of it. You would already have it. So it's a really twist. I was watching this YouTube video recently, and the guy said that his friend's wife was trying to date for a couple years, and she didn't get any phone number. She didn't get anybody reaching out to her on her Facebook or in the supermarket. And once she found her boo or her other guy, she started to get all these numbers all of a sudden and all of this attention. And undoubtedly that's because she was blossoming. That radiating energy was coming forth. And so, how do you do that if you don't have exactly what you want now? That is a really hard ask, but it comes in gratitude. Really appreciating what you have now, the vitality of youth, your health, your optimism, just the way you expressed yourself even in your email speaks of someone that has something going for them. Don't forget that. You got it. And if you can just stay in that spirit, that emanating attitude of gratitude, as we were told in church, will shine forth, because it's really important to have, because that is going to be your kind of calling card to the world.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because that's so true. It's the power of opposites. And one thing my husband and I joke about is we sell magic wands under a bridge at a Saturday market currently, as we also do tarot readings. And what we've noticed as part of our human experiment of owning a business and selling out at the market is that the less we pay attention to people, the more we draw them in with our energy, because we're just having fun. So we're communicating with each other, we're playing chess, we're playing word games, we're developing, within our business and talking about ideas. And we've had multiple people tell us that they only stopped at our tent because we have a gravity about us.
Yeah.
And so when we first went into this business, we were talking about how much money we were going to make. And in order to make money, you have to have interactions with people who have the money in order for us to obtain it. And so we kind of had it backwards, because we were thinking of the necessity of things, which is actually being in the energy of lack, and it just didn't come. It didn't come when we most needed it. It didn't come when we most expected it. But when we transitioned to just focusing on each other, because this is why we're doing this whole business anyways, is so we could be together, is that completely switched up the entire game. So when it comes to perspective, this Nine of Cups is borderline a mastery card, and cups represent, I'm sorry if you said this already, but emotions.
Oh, no, I haven't, yeah.
And so this is incredibly good reading thus far in that, you should congratulate yourself for being a borderline master of your emotions going into the potentiality of a union with somebody. Because that's absolutely so important. But maybe just that missing cup is that perspective, that if you want something, if you think good thoughts, because as we've learned, thoughts become things, which isn't necessarily true, because as we've just said, it creates a resistance, because when you want something, you're acknowledging that you don't have it. So inherently and subconsciously, your body is recognizing, oh, you don't have this thing, and so we're going to keep not having this thing. And somehow you're going to find that you may potentially be in a position of self-sabotage. So you don't want to start a relationship not being able to see that from 10,000 feet.
Yes, and I see the older I get now why faith is expressed and articulated as one of the foundational tenets, in all of the major faiths, because without faith you can't have that confidence in knowing that you can't exude that light, because when we need it the most is when we're most inclined, and rightfully so, not to have faith, and so that is why we need it the most.
Yeah, and what I was really wanting to get at too is you want to create that magnetism about you that draws in the right people versus just making yourself available.
Yeah.
Like anybody can go into a bar and probably meet somebody by the end of the night, but
Yeah.
that just makes you available. So if the desire of your heart is to love someone, don't just be the next person. Maybe put yourself in a position, because you can position yourself around people, right? Like opportunities arise all the time, where maybe you're hanging out with girlfriends. And my husband was actually just speaking on this earlier when it came to the realm of careers. You never know what opportunity is going to present itself. Like I met him in the unlikeliest of places. And so when you're just out and about doing your own thing, not focusing on the wanting, then it will be that attractive element. That somebody at Chick-fil-A or wherever you go, to just run errands or what have you. They could be drawn energetically to just say hi to you, or maybe there's some fun meet cute, in a grocery store where you drop a loaf of bread and they pick it up for you. Like, you never ever know. And so don't expect or have this vision of how things are going to go, because you will be disappointed. And just be open again to receiving and channeling that love outwardly, in a gratitude for just being able to feel that at all. And to have that resonate with you so strongly, because love can create so much beauty in the world that you might see that you're putting that loving power and energy into a personal endeavor that will in turn make you more attractive to the right person who wants to pursue you lovingly.
That's beautifully said.
Okay.
Beautifully said. No, that's wonderful. Wonderful. This is, the labyrinth.
Oh, cool. Do you want to speak on that one?
Yes, I will. I love this this symbol. If you can look it up too, if you would like. There is a labyrinth found in, I believe, all of the major cathedrals, at least in Europe. It stands kind of, you could call it at the center or the threshold of that beautiful edifice. And the cool thing about a labyrinth, unlike a maze, is like there are no dead ends. Like, you're not going to end up where you shouldn't be, but it is a type of like wandering, weaving process that eventually takes you to the center point. And so one of the symbols I love about this card and the labyrinth in general is that it requires a journey of you and a process, but it is not one that's intended to trick or confuse. or mislead, but rather develop. And so there's a bit of a gestation in the labyrinth, in that like you're not at the point you exactly want to be right at the moment, but you're on the way. The fact that you're even moving down this circular sequence to the center speaks of someone that is going to get there, because the process is literally intended for you to get there, but also develop you along the way. So what this is saying, and I hope this doesn't prick your heart a little, is maybe there's just a little bit more of a waiting time, just a little. I mean, this is not something that's going to be, again, labyrinths are not long. They are meant to be, they're thorough, they're meant to be very directing, and they can be had very fast. Don't think of a corn maze. Don't think of like some like tricksy environment or anything. Just something that's a little more gestating and developmental. And above here, we also see the moon, which is a symbol of our inner world and our emotional plane, and somebody that uses that emotional plane to guide them towards the center. So I hope that answers your question and kind of articulates the meaning of that particular card. Just intuitively, is there anything you get from this?
Yeah, I agree with you. And during that time that you are gestating and reflecting or turning inward and maybe becoming even more ready to take on this next phase of a relationship, is to, again, channel your energies of love into a passion of yours. And time will fly. And then eventually, again, because you're acquiring new skills or just doing something that engages your mind, engages your soul, emits more of that loving energy, then again, you're just creating that momentum of that attraction and that magnetism that will draw somebody in, potentially at random. Or it may seem at random one day, where maybe another year or two goes by, and I'm not putting a date stamp on this. It could happen sooner, it could happen later. We never know. But just availing yourself energetically to that opportunity, that it may come from the unlikeliest of places, but in the meantime you are fulfilling that impetus to love, by sharing it where it could be much needed right now.
Yes.
That could be a calling, something that you're supposed to put forth into the world. That could be working with children. Children need a lot of love right now. And it could be turning your sights towards the elderly. So just, keep that open mind. And with that soul fulfilling or soul aligning purpose that you create for yourself, that meets the requirements of what it is that your heart desires right now when it comes to love, will only be there for you in your repertoire when you move into a union with somebody else. And that will not only be a comfort to you, but may also aid in the respect and admiration that you receive from a partner.
Yeah. That was beautiful.
Thanks. So with that said, we're going to draw an oracle card as, these are just one word oracle cards to enhance the reading, and also just to give you kind of a one word mantra to focus on, or maybe something to keep in mind as you move into 2026 and decide which direction to go when it comes to where to apply that love that you have that's just overflowing.
Okay. And release.
Oh, we get that one a lot.
Yeah,
That's
we
a great
do.
card.
Be open to the process.
Mm-hmm.
Avail yourself to the unknown experiences that are before you, but like with Vanessa said, I think you said this, do so with a wisdom and a understanding that you don't have to give yourself to something to avail yourself to an experience. So make sure to keep your boundaries, know your worth, and well, can you add that final point?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that my husband and I like to share with others that we believe is really important when it comes to the entering into a relationship or the idea of, and you're calling someone forth, is to release old baggage first. You know, so if there's something that maybe you have a hang up on, or anything that could be considered baggage that you are, I don't know, traumatized from, or anything that could be maybe applicable or rear its ugly head within the realm of a relationship, because all of those things do.
Even expectations.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Releasing expectations is so, so important, because it just sets us up for disappointment if we can't do that. And so even if you don't have any baggage going in, there are things that we set ourselves up for, and if you're willing to compromise of yourself in any way, entering into your first potential relationship, then just be prepared. Be prepared that you may be very far along in your journey of self-mastery, but your partner may not be, or your potential partner may not be. So if this is something that is important to you, enough to seek out guidance from the tarot, for instance, is make sure that you are aligning with somebody that understands where it is that you're coming from and where you're at on your journey, so that there aren't any surprises.
Yeah, beautifully said, honey.
Okay, so after 26 minutes of hearing us rant, I hope that you found our reading beneficial. And we do wish you all the best in this realm of love that you're entering into. And we're really excited for you to experience an opportunity just as we have to love one another. So if we can serve you in the future, we would love to do so. Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you.